Sorry, T-Bird. Just was talking with Patrick real quick. He had a pretty important thing with Army coming up in Germany tonight, and went a little longer than expected. He'll be here in a couple of minutes, um, and yeah, we'll have some fun taking a look at what happened this past week with the online qualifiers for World Fitness Project. I was doing some reviewing of the leaderboard this morning, trying to look at a variety of different things from, hey, Craig. Hello, Lynn. From obviously the qualifying athletes, which we'll look through in a minute, but all the way through, athletes who signed up but didn't do the workouts, the total number of registered athletes, the total number of countries that I think participated in it, and it was pretty impressive. I mean, considering that it's supposed to be a competition that's very, very targeted to a group of athletes that they're trying to select to compete against their 20 signed professional men and professional women in Indianapolis. There were just about 500 total registrations. Oh, BKG's on with Jason CF Media. Nice. Yeah, we just, I know there's always stuff going on in the media space. It's difficult to keep track of all of it. So I kind of stopped trying to schedule things around other people's content and just do what Patrick and I can do with our own schedules. So either way, you could watch, whichever one live and catch up on the other one later on. Always cool to have BKG on, do very many shows. But yeah, I was trying to do a count, and I think there were nearly 500 athletes were signed up, but not all of them participated. Hey, Patrick. And there were quite a few athletes, similarly to Lynn, who signed up but did not enter scores. Patrick and I will look at some of the bigger names, not quite as big of a name as Lynn, but some big names, I guess, that didn't enter those scores. Thanks, T-Bird. What's up, PC?
What's up? How you doing?
Pretty good. I was just saying I was perusing through the leaderboard a bit, and I think that there were pretty close to 500 total athletes who signed up for this. It was about 2/3 men, 1/3 women, which is not unusual or unexpected, and over 50 countries. I'm not sure the exact count, but over 50 countries, at least one country from every continent, including a country that I didn't know existed until this competition. It turns out that country is about 4 years old. It's called New Caledonia, and I had to look it up. I think it got its independence in 2021, and it's east of Australia, west of Fiji. And I'm just pretty curious about how this person ended up signing up for this qualifier. But yeah, it was cool to see the global representation. There were countries from Africa, several countries from Africa, the Middle East, Asia, of course, Australia and Oceania. A lot of people from throughout Europe, of course, still a majority from the United States. Not a ton from Canada, actually, but yes, Lynn, Kenya. And then there were, of course, also and of course there were people who did the workouts that didn't sign up. Especially, I think the first one was very accessible for gyms anywhere, people anywhere. As long as you have a rower, you could do it. I actually did it yesterday.
Yes.
So yeah, that was just a kind of an overview. And some more kind of high level. Those are some high level things, but have some more specific things that I noticed upon watching it. But I wanted to talk first. I wanted to just start by addressing something more big picture, because there's been a lot of, look, what World Fitness Project has done just in the last 2 weeks is a lot. They made some kind of splash with an affiliate thing that people didn't quite know about, or still don't maybe know what that is. We've been trying to figure out. There is a pretty cool mystery series set in New Caledonia, I think. Wow. Okay. We've been trying to understand a little bit more what the fitness initiative is. And this is from what I've been able to tell, which is talking to the person who is the first fitness project initiative gym owner is Maddie Ludwig. She lives 30 minutes from here, from where I live. And I had a chance to talk to her about it. I know she went on the Counterculture podcast, and I've talked to a couple other people who are either involved from the WFP side or considering being involved on their own gym side. And it sounds to me like they're advertising it exactly exactly what they say is what they mean, which is that they want this first 50 to help them create this program with the intention of creating services that will be beneficial for gyms in terms of revenue, retention, etc. And so the more that I learn about it, I actually think it's quite different than, because I saw some people were posting about, well, Mayhem has an affiliate program, HWPO has one, MetFix has one, whatever. I actually think that if anything, it's more along the lines of like what Two Brain Business does, or what Affiliate University / Best Hour of the Day does, which is come alongside a gym and create and provide resources for them that are not programming related, that are not, you know, specific to like the actual activity that's going on in the gym, but it's more related to how they're running and operating their gym and integrating with their members or getting new members. So have you had a similar kind of
Yeah,
learning?
I kind of like that's exactly kind of how I've been feeling that. You know, and you know, those who've watched it kind of around the whiteboard that I was on with Peter and with Chase, one of the questions was like, how what can CrossFit do to help affiliates? Or forgot what the question was. And what I said is like they need to help these businesses. They need to enhance them. They need to provide them stuff. I know there's the playbook, the affiliate playbook, and they have other resources, but they don't have really like someone like, they have the affiliate reps and stuff like that, but a lot of it's just like it won't necessarily work for everybody. But what they really need, if they're going to do something to help affiliates, they need affiliates, owners, people that run successful affiliates to be a part of it. And it sounds like that's what they're doing with the first 50 is like, hey, they're going to these affiliates, these communities that have success, that have been around, whether they're 10-year, 15-year, these are businesses because you have to pay to be an affiliate or a part of the initiative. I hate that word affiliate because when you say affiliate, that's where everyone's like, oh no, they're trying to take over CrossFit. They're trying to replace CrossFit. They're not. They're not. People, calm down. They're not. I've had these conversations. We've had these conversations. We've read the article. Nowhere in there does it say anything about creating a new methodology or providing training or providing all the stuff that other people do, but are less critical. But no, I think exactly that. Especially when you go right to the owners, the businesses, and try to help them, help promote them. They're trying to bring awareness to them, and I kind of akin that to when you see like a bar or a restaurant that hangs like their favorite team's flag. They're affiliated. You know, you go to a bar in Chicago, you'll see bars out there with Green Bay Packers flags and stuff like that. In Chicago.
They don't. No, they don't last that long. Those bars.
They don't have to. You're sure. But people know, and a lot of them they're affiliated with that team, and why by affiliated with that team is like they pay a certain package and they get cutbacks, they get all this stuff to use to promote that team and stuff like that. And that's what it kind of reminds me of. You wouldn't walk away from an affiliate because you saw a barbell for boobs flag, or any type of charity or any type of military association. And that's what I kind of almost compare that to, because those when you see these flags and these banners hanging up in these gyms of things they've done, it's because they're affiliated in some way or somehow helping them out, and they help, and in kind they help that affiliate out. And that's what that's what what I see with the WFP initiative.
So I don't want to talk too much about it, but these questions from T-Bird, marketing help for gyms, absolutely. I think that'd be the case. Members more chances to compete in a year, definitely. Actually, on Monday night, I went to Redemption Fitness or CrossFit Redemption here in Waukesha, Wisconsin, and they had 30 people from the gym who showed up. Some of the executive team from WFP was there. I think that Marius actually edited a thing there's a teaser on Instagram, at least. I'm not sure if the full thing was released yet of just like what they're doing, but they're on a gym tour. And so I went to this event because it was 30 minutes from my house. we did the first ever like a rec league workout, which is kind of like a beta, like a test of it. And that's something that I know like the WFP has mentioned Project One. They've mentioned the rec league, and more information will come out about that. But yes, CJ, this is exactly right, is that there's this intention to create some low barrier to entry, meaning you can do it in your gym. It's not super complex workouts in a community setting over the course of a year. I believe there's one per quarter that they're planning to have. I think there may be some leaderboard for that. I'm not entirely sure of how it'll all play out, but that is another thing that is a part of what they're doing. And yeah, I think they're actually starting to get, here's the teaser for it. So that's Ryan Husband. He's one of the guys that's on the road trip with their executive team right now, visiting a bunch of different gyms. And his wife, Maggie, is actually the one that's leading up that initiative. So if there's anyone who's interested in being a part of it, or just having a conversation with them about what it is, because there's no, I was listening to Adrian Conway the other day. He started up a little podcast series, and I really like Adrian's perspective when it comes to WFP. Obviously, Adrian is like a CrossFit guy through and through, competes at the CrossFit Games, coaches athletes who pursue CrossFit Games, level 1, level 2 seminars, red shirts, affiliate. Like he gets it, commentary, the whole thing. He lives and breathes it. His perspective, how I would like simplify it, is to say he's curious. He's skeptical, but he's not critical. And he said to his audience there, if you want to know, ask. Don't just make these wild assumptions about things and these wild claims about things without getting the information. And if you do reach out to the WFP or anybody, and you reach out once and twice and 3 times, you don't get any response, then say whatever you want, because you gave them a chance and they didn't respond. So anyway, if you own a gym and you're curious about what it is, ask them. They'd love to talk to you. And if you're not curious about it, what it is, no problem. But you don't need to be critical of it, unless, why would you be critical of something that's coming alongside this initiative that we're all a part of, which is global health and fitness expansion? What are you going to be critical of? All those other programming things? Are you going to be critical of Two Brain or of Affiliate University? No, they're resources that are available for some people. But then you can't make things up and assume things, right? And so anyway, I wanted to start with that affiliate thing because, as I mentioned, they've been doing a bunch of stuff, whether it's media that's out on their YouTube channels. Obviously, they ran the Qualifier event, so we got the first glimpse at Will's programming. We had all these people sign up for it. Then they had this announcement about Annie and Katrin. Then they announced their entire broadcast team, and it's a lot that's going on in a short amount of time. And it's getting pretty close to their first live event. It's right in the midst of another competitive season, the game season that's going on. And I just, I saw Andrew's post this morning about the squats, the lack of squats in their qualifier. And I just can't help but think to myself, this thing that I have said before about relationships. Like, if you're in a relationship with someone, whatever kind of relationship that is, and you want to find a problem, you'll find one. And if you want to find something good, you'll find one too. And I've seen a lot of good things and a few maybe not perfect things from the WFP. And I haven't seen him celebrating any of the good stuff that's going on. I only see him looking to nitpick. And so that's like disappointing to me that you're not even giving it a chance. But let's talk about this, Patrick. What's the Annie and Katrina thing? So
Annie Katarina. No, CJ. I mean, I guess we could talk about that, and I was going to save that towards the end to talk about the broadcast and everything, because I think most people are here to talk about the qualifiers. But it's your call on that. What do you want to do?
Let's just get these things out of the way.
Yep. So there was a press release sent out. Let me pull it up here. Press release sent out on it was yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Yesterday is when I got it. And they announced their broadcast talent info, which was pretty cool to kind of get this in advance, especially the info. But we'll talk about the broadcast team before we talk about the info here that came along with it. They're doing 2 shows. They're doing a desk show and they're doing a live broadcast. The desk show will happen between each event, beginning of the day, end of the day, and between the events. So you almost have analysis and coverage. And And then the broadcast team, it's going to be a 3-person booth, starting with the legend himself, Mr. Jeremy Austin. Um, and on-color commentator is a guy we can both say is like we wouldn't be where we're at without him. Is Tommy Marquez, and in the analyst position, which I'm really excited because me, I'm a big fan of having like an athlete in that color commentary or in that analyst slash co-color commentator role, Gabby Magawa. So I love this lineup. Um, Obviously, when you think of play-by-play, you think of Sean Woodland, you think of Chase. Both of them were unavailable, I guess. I don't know, but Jeremy Austin is. I don't think he's the first or second pick. I just think he's a great pick for this, and plus it kind of ties into the whole World Fitness Initiative, the World Fitness Project. The guy is. I call him legendary because my favorite call is the Con Porter call that he did in 2014 or 2015 regionals, Oceania regionals or Pacific regionals. But yeah. So I don't know. This is the broadcast booth, the 3-person booth. Brian, what do you think?
Great, and I don't mind not having Sean. Sean's obviously great, but he's very,
Mhm.
very associated with specific things. And even though Jeremy's obviously and Tommy have a ton of background with CrossFit, I think it's a little. Tommy hasn't done that much commentary recently. He's kind of been doing some different roles, but he's got a huge historic background when it comes to competitive fitness. Same thing with Jeremy. They've actually been joking with each other that they've worked on similar projects, but never been in the booth together. And yeah, I actually think that 3-person booth has been something I've been advocating for in our sport for a while, just because you have multiple heats. Sometimes the events are long, and just to have a third perspective in there, and you get 3 very, very different perspectives here. Obviously, you see the 3 different flags. You got Europe, you got Australia, you got United States, like probably the 3 biggest markets for competitive fitness, at least at the highest level, which is what they're going to be covering, right? They're going to be doing the pro live stream and the challenger live stream. So this makes sense to me. Global representation, you get an athlete, you get a kind of analyst, you get a guy with a great personality to kind of guide the whole ship. You get 3 different regions represented. I love it.
Yeah, and I really do like the addition of Gabby. Everyone knows I'm a big Gabby fan. To kind of just see her into that role, I mean, that's really cool. And what I like about it's like it's out of her comfort zone, but she that's what makes Gabby who she is. Like she's used to doing things like that. I mean, we've talked about Haley Adams, finding things that challenges her. Now this is Gabby who's recovering. Her season's over this year, but she's still finding ways to be involved, to give back, to be a part of the community, the fitness community, not just CrossFit, the fitness community. And I think this is a good way for her. And who knows, this might be something that just like just fires her up even more. But the analysis to get someone from her, I mean, you forget she finished runner up at the games. Not many times you can get the runner up of the highest competition to turn around and then be a part of the broadcast booth the next year. I mean, the only thing I can really think of is someone like Tom Brady or like Peyton Manning after they retired. So just really cool.
And
Um,
then they'll be supplemented, I would say, by the desk show, or the what do they call it? The
the studio show,
studio show.
and
I
again,
like this
hosted.
comment. I like this comment. Gabby trying out the Lucy model: compete, commentate, then dominate.
Yeah, I like that. The Lucy, yeah, that's cool. Uh, Studio show. I'm a big fan of studio shows. I mean, that's when I worked at ESPN. That's what I did. I worked on a studio show for College Game Day. So studio shows always have a special place in my heart, especially when it comes to big sports. Every major sporting event usually has some type of studio show, and it's usually a different cast of characters. And here, I mean, you can't ask for really a better cast. I mean, Derek Forrest. I'm a big Derek Forrest fan. We've had the pleasure of working with Derek twice in a broadcast booth. To see Derek back involved with the sport of fitness, I'm really cool because that guy, he's been involved, according to the press release, he's been involved in high level sporting events as a host and a reporter for major sporting events. He's the I guess the desk, or he's the sports what is he?
Kind of the host of the sports segment of Washington D.C.
Yeah,
coverage.
I mean,
Um,
he's the
well, I just
he's
think this makes so much sense. Like, this is the
does.
role that he actually does as his profession. He's
Mhm.
also obviously familiar with competitive fitness space
Yes.
through what he's done with the Open, what he's done in Dubai, and you're supplementing him with two of the best women we've ever seen do it, and
Yep.
then a coach who I think is, I've seen some comments here, surprised to see Seth, but he'll be good. I was also surprised to see him, but he's always has good insights, and I couldn't agree more. And I think it really feels to me like something that would be normal for a competitive sports league. You have a professional host, some ex-athletes, and a coach who's been around for a long time to round out the commentary there. So I think this is a pretty cool and kind of different flavor to a lineup. Feels to me like they took the Rogue tailgate or the supplementary stream show, but just decided to integrate it instead of along like at the same time as the actual broadcast, to like stop the get like the before, during, and after. So I think this has a lot of potential, and I think it's a well-rounded cast.
I do too. I mean, you're gonna get. I mean, Annie and Katrin, they actually don't see eye to eye in certain things. They're two totally different athletes, and I think adding Seth to that dynamic. I mean, Seth is going to talk from a coaching programming standpoint. That will probably, and what you want to see out of a studio show is you don't need everyone agreeing on things.
Right.
You want that kind of like some disagreement and stuff. I mean, that's what makes like College Game Day so great. Is like when whenever Lee Corso puts on the hat, what mascot he thinks is going to win when they make their picks. That's what you want to see, and you don't want the same. A lot of people might think Annie and Katrin are going to think alike. They not. I will tell you, they won't. They will not have the same opinion on things. And Seth, I'm really interested to see because they don't know Seth. And Seth doesn't really know them. So it's going to be really kind of cool to see that relationship play out during the course of the weekend, because Seth is he's such a just a smart and really underrated coach. I mean, this is a guy who helped found Misfit, and then he's created his own training program. And the guy has, if you've seen what he's done over the last couple of years, just with the platforms he's been on. I mean, the guy is extremely smart, has a very strong opinion on things, and so did these women. And I think Derek is a perfect person to kind of almost moderate all of it, host and moderate it. So I love the
Yeah.
studio show.
Seth,
I love.
Seth actually
Huh?
reminds me a little bit. Seth reminds me a little bit of what I said about Adrian. Like, he put up this thing uh, yesterday or the day before with regards to the in affiliate semifinals, and he owns several affiliates, but he's
Yes.
just offering a curious and critical perspective, not a condemnation of what they're doing. Because I've just like people have been critical of WFP. There's other people that are being super critical of the CrossFit Games season for a variety of different things, and it's there's plenty of similarities and plenty of differences between the two, but the overarching theme is like, um, sometimes you just got to give something a chance before you condemn it. And even though it's the 15th year of the Open and it's, they're constantly changing the season, they're trying something new, and they're trying to lean into the affiliates with the semifinal, which is something that the community at large has asked for. And then there's people being critical of it. So it goes back to whatever someone said it earlier. There's just people that are always going to complain, and they're on both
Yeah.
sides of the fence. And we're trying to sort of not do that. Instead, we're trying to look and see the potential, with a bigger picture understanding that we talked about last week, which is just an increased amount of opportunities for athletes. And as far as WFP goes, we can go to the reporters to round out the cast here.
Yeah. Well,
But they got
before we move on,
okay.
well, actually, no, we'll go. We'll finish this up with the reporters. Yeah. So on the reporters, you have two reporters here. One's going to be Lauren Smith, who, if you don't know who Lauren is, there's something wrong with you. She'll be covering the pro and challenger.
That's something wrong with you. You just haven't been watching a lot of competitive fitness stuff.
Exactly. And there's something wrong with you. Nah. And then in the community and competitor divisions, Amy Breen,
This
is
is cool.
an amazing person, will be covering that division. So you have two, just again, we have one from the UK, one with a lot of experience. I mean, she's been sports reporting for just about anything fitness for a while now, over 10 years. And then Amy, who's a relatively newcomer to this game. Um, I really like this. And kind of what I wanted to kind of bring this full circle. And then Brian, you can speak on this. Is like what I've seen here in their selections is that the WFP, they're paying attention. They know what's out there, I mean, and that's why when you see people, I'm surprised they pick Seth Page. I'm not. They're aware of what's going on, and sometimes we get really mad at CrossFit because sometimes it seems like they're tone deaf or they refuse to. They have their mind set on something, and for all we know, this might change for tour event too. But this for tour event 1, this is a very diverse, a very unique, a very cool selection of people to cover their sport from day 1 to the final day of competition. And I give them credit for one, trying new things with relatively new people, inexperienced. And I'm talking about Gabby and Amy Breen, and then giving some people their shot again, like Tommy, and then Lauren Smith, and then you bring in some proven commodities. I'm just really excited about this. I really am.
So that was another big thing that came out this week, and I was trying to stall for a guest that we're actually having come on the show today. The main focus is today is going to be on the qualifiers that just happened, and we're going to go through that in a little bit of depth. But there were two things that really jumped out to me from the online qualifier as kind of being what I would say is the kind of most impressive results. The first was Nate Ackerman, and we'll talk about him in a second. And the second one was a late addition to the field that I was able to get to skip some time on her vacation to come and talk to us about wanting to do it. Jamie Latimer, what's up?
Hi.
Jamie. We finally
Patrick did not know you were coming on this show.
I did. But it's only
I didn't know I was coming on.
But it's only fair because I'm always trying to get on your show on Sundays.
Well, we'll get you on sometime.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, Jamie is potentially well known to some of you. She's had a lot of success as an athlete, and she also does go on with Scott Schweitzer on the Clydesdale podcast pretty regularly there. You're on vacation this week, if I'm not mistaken.
It is. So my son's a senior in high school, and so it's their spring break. So we're in Cancun. So enjoy the view.
And did you do these workouts in Cancun?
No. So we flew out Monday. And so I did them Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then totally messed up the workout 3 on Friday. So I had to redo it Sunday, which was like, because we have the Sunday night show. So I did that workout, went home, packed, got on the Sunday night show, and woke up early Monday morning to fly out. So it's one and done pretty much.
And I messaged you yesterday. It's just saying man, that was really impressive, because we haven't looked at the leaderboard yet, but you're actually inside the top 30 right now. You will age, I'm not sure if you're 45 yet, but you've aged into the 45 to 49 division this year.
No. 41.
Oh, I was one division off. So you've
yeah.
And it's got, I think you were, maybe there were some people I don't know, but I think you were probably outside of the demographic that they were thinking would compete in this. What made you want to do it?
Well, Indianapolis is close to me, and it's so hard to find comps that I can get to that don't cost me $3,000 to participate in. Which when I heard about this, I was very curious how it was going to work. Did challengers get any money to support hotel or anything? Because that is the issue with the sport, right? I own a gym. I barely scrape by. I can't go to these comps. I had to do a fundraiser just to make it to the games last year. Luckily the games this year is in Columbus, but it happens to fall on welcome week. So if my son chooses to go to Michigan State University, which seems to be the plan, that's welcome weekend. So moving him in. And I had already said that this year was going to be an off year for me. So I wasn't even sure that I would, and we'll see how the semi, I'm here this week, not really getting training. And so we'll even see how semis go. If it's heavy, it might not be in my favor. And so I wanted an option if semi doesn't go my way, that something else to compete in that's close to home, basically.
And so you actually signed up thinking I have a chance to make it in the top 30.
Not really. I looked at the leaderboard and I was maybe 30th if a couple people don't submit their score. Like I knew Carolyn was signed up, but I wasn't sure. Like there's a couple people on there who didn't submit scores that if they all would have, it probably would have pushed me down. Did I think there was a shot to be like 30th? Maybe. When I saw the workouts, especially workout 1, I was like, that's my jam. But workout 3 is not my jam. So I was like, well, we'll see where they fall. And like I said, I'm not going to be able to train here in Cancun. So I was like, let's hit 3 hard workouts as if it's like your semis prep. And then we'll just see what happens.
I wanted to ask you about the workouts. I had you've done a ton of qualifiers over the years, online qualifiers. How did you like the presentation of these from the athlete perspective, and then the execution or ability to do them?
I thought they were really good. I know a lot of people complained about not enough squatting. In my opinion, I have a feeling that maybe Qualifier 2 will involve a ton of squatting, and maybe you see a different type of athlete come out of Qualifier 2. I mean, you got to come up with 2 unique tests, right? Like to get different. And I don't know if maybe they're looking for the same people to qualify. Maybe they aren't. I really liked them. I really liked the floor plans. You were able to use them all for, you had to shuttle and use your 25 foot. You had to lunge and use your 25 foot, and you had handstand walk and use your 25. So they all flowed really nicely. Like once I had my floor set, I didn't move those tape lines. That was really nice. I think workout 3 was a little confusing on paper. And I know I had to message, like I even messaged Carolyn. She said she noticed the same thing. Like it seemed clear. I was like, it's a 2-minute rest, but like in the notes, it says rest a minimum of 2 minutes. And I was like, why did they write that? Are we all supposed to start at 9 minutes? But that was my only issue, is like, that was the one somewhat unclear thing.
Well, and I mean, I would say overall, like, that's good to hear. One thing that you've had the same experience, whether it's you doing the workouts, someone in your gym, or another competitive athlete. Like when you get a set of qualifier workouts, it's a lot of information, and you need to kind of read through it and dissect it carefully. And obviously, someone like yourself and Caroline are going to do that with a great amount of attention to detail. So to come away from the first time that they've ever done this, and to say that there was one thing that didn't kind of add up to you when you read through it, I think is probably pretty good.
Yeah. What they wrote for like what to do to complete the rep and make sure, like, don't touch any body part on the wall in the wall facing handstand push-up, the complex, get over the rower anyway, don't have to touch the line. Like I thought that the movement standards were really clear. I really, really enjoyed that.
I like some of those also. I actually, with that squatting conversation, I had seen someone put a comment somewhere like, well, it's really difficult to judge the depth of a squat. And I think this is in response to Hiller's criticism of it. And it's something that you criticize all the time. So maybe they were just listening to you.
Maybe.
I don't know if that's the case. And I'm sure that we will see squatting at some point in their qualifiers. But exactly. actually doing the workouts, 3 pretty different kind of test time domains. I thought when I as the week went on, that being really good at workouts 3A and 3B would actually be a slight advantage on the overall scheme of things. Did you think similarly?
I think they're definitely.
You can disagree.
I do think. I mean, obviously, it always pays to be stronger, and I think being strong enough to be not fatigued to do that handstand walking. I think it was a really well-written test because you needed to be fast and efficient on your hands, but strong enough to handle it. And the fatigue into that wall walk complex was more than I expected. So, and looking at some scores, it seems like maybe some people got held up on that wall.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, the one thing that's always curious to me about qualifiers in general is that you can do them in sort of whatever order you choose. But if you did choose to do that one last, there's a lot of volume and definitely some midline stamina just accumulated through that workout alone. Not to mention if you already did the lunging and the hinging with the burpee and everything else prior to it. But I don't know. I talked to a couple athletes who this morning who are currently sitting in the top 10, and they said these were difficult. These were hard tests, and when you look at the leaderboard, it's hard not to think that they did the job they were set out to do.
Yeah, they were definitely no cakewalk. The second workout reminded me so much of, I think it was 2 years ago, the semifinals workout for the Masters. That was like 3 rounds of lunging and toes bar, and then 2 rounds of lunging. It was the same lunging progression, and it went up in gymnastics just like this. It reminded me so much of that, which when that was programmed, I think that was one of the best tests I've ever had to do for any event. So I really like this one too.
Curious, as an athlete who's participated in this, has there been any communication about what the review process will be like?
No, and actually, Scott and Carolyn, we were talking about that earlier today. They said they were watching like 35 videos at least, like the top 35 of every, like if you were in the top 35 of any event, I believe is what they said. So I gotta think it's gonna take a couple weeks.
Yeah, it sounded like it would be obviously if you're in the overall top 35, or if you're in the top 35 of 1, 2, 3A or 3B, and potentially for 3A and 3B, you need to look at both. Because there could be some people that did really well on A and not on B, or the other way around. So could be a while, but also have no idea what their resources are in terms of personnel available to do that. Obviously, more people, like many hands, light work type thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're in the best possible situation. I mean, just enjoy Cancun, and when the results come in, they come in.
Exactly. No stress here.
Patrick, anything you want to ask Jamie about?
I mean, no. Just enjoy your vacation right now, and great job. Brian, I remember when Brian saw that you signed up, he mentioned something. He's like, "Hey, I would keep an eye on Jamie," and I'm like, "Of course." But then, to see you in the top 30 right now, and knowing how fit you are, and you see that list of potential athletes you're going to compete with, how do you see yourself faring against these 20 athletes in Indianapolis?
I mean, it totally depends, right? Like if it's snatching at 175 pounds, I can't even do it. I can't participate. But if it's workouts like workout 1, I think I'm extremely fit at stuff like that. But that's just aerobic conditioning. And I think I can hang with people. I think Brian knows, if it's toe to bar, I'm in, man. Like, give me a dense toe to bar workout. I think I can hang with some of the top.
Yeah,
but if it's overly heavy, I will definitely have a disadvantage. So, but I can cycle like 80% for me quite well.
Well, but I think about this year at Wadapalooza. I mean, Will has basically already said that there's going to be 600 scoring or 600 points available, and that's how many there were in Wadapalooza. Lucy Campbell had a heavy test there with the front rack clean that she can, has been working to get into that position. She took 34th out of 40, and she won the competition. So
yeah,
depending on the nature, you could still do well enough on other things to offset one bad score at a six event or 6 workout competition.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought it was super cool that you did this. I thought it was obviously incredibly impressive how well you did on it. And I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to come and share some of the reasons why and insights from the athlete perspective about the experience.
Yeah. Thanks for messaging me. That meant a lot. Like, it was a nice little surprise. I'm shocked that that was one of the 2 things that stuck out to you. I'm glad to surprise people and, still at my age. So that's awesome.
Well, if you couldn't tell by the reception when you logged on, a lot of people who are watching were really happy to have you here. Big fans of yours. And obviously you're inspiring to, I'm sure, men and women all over the place. So thank you very much.
Go back.
Good luck with the review.
Yeah. Thanks, Carolyn.
Okay. Best of luck from everyone in the comments too. And we'll see you. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye. Thank you.
Did I surprise you with that one?
Yeah, you did. I mean, you said there was a possibility you're trying to get a guest on. I was like, okay. I mean, I'm usually the one surprising you, so that was cool. Jamie's such a cool person. Like, I mean, there's not many shows that I try to stay up late for, but they're Sunday night their Sunday night show with him or with her, Carolina Scott. I try to stay up as late as I can to kind of catch that because they talk about so many good things, and it's gotten such a good following too on that Sunday night show. So, and I mean, when you bring in that many perspectives, it's really cool. So I'm really cool, happy for her. I think like I said, I'm not surprised she finished in a top 30, but it's cool just seeing her name there and then knowing that she'll be one of those athletes that actually shows up because it is local and she'll probably have a really good crowd there supporting her. Especially, it'll give an opportunity for her gym to kind of come out and support her as well. So that'd be cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right.
with
Well, let's start at the top here. First of all, I was looking through this today because I posted the day that they announced. I put up a top 50 athletes that had been registered at the time of registration, and then the next day I posted, or 2 days later, I posted another group of people who had registered after that, and then there were more that registered after that, and I didn't follow up with anything like that online. But at the current standing, there's 15 of the top 30 men that weren't registered at the start of this competition, and 13 of the top 30 women that weren't registered. Because at first I was like, well, let me see how my picks did, and I was like, oh, well, half of the people who qualified didn't even have a chance to pick.
Yeah, and then probably a quarter of those didn't even probably submit a score. So
Yes, we'll get to that later on. But we are going to start with the women, primarily because we're already on that page, but secondarily because Nadine only cares about the women and she has to go in 17 minutes. Top of the list, Andrea Solberg. You're not surprised.
Not at all. I mean, one, it's an online qualifier, and plus the workouts, and and even if there was squatting, I think she would have won. She would have won even if there was some type of squatting because she's an excellent squatter. But I said it. I'm like, especially with 3A, and you're going to see a theme here, especially with the women. It's the women with a really good gymnastics base, really good at gymnastics, that finished here in the top 6. These are all women known for their gymnastics and their movement on a barbell. I mean, on a pull-up bar, their handstand walking. But I called it. I said Andrea Solberg or would probably win that 3A, and she did, and rather handily too by 14 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, look, you definitely have power output on the rower, and you have 3 different weightlifting movements with the dumbbells alone, and then with the lunging variations, and then you have 3 workouts with weights when you factor in 3A and 3B. But the gymnastics kind of carries the day throughout these events, and it's in line with with how athletes who excel at this sport should be, which is that they should be masters of the body weight stuff and then build upon them with the weightlifting. So you had the burpee, which Adrian Conway identified as being the biggest opportunity for the fittest athletes to gain a margin of advantage. You had I think 90 reps of gymnastics in the second one, 45 pull-ups, not that much separation there for the best. 30 chest bar, a little bit more separation, 15 bar muscle up at the end. And even though that overhead lunge is a big separator, being good at the chest to bar and the bar muscle up under fatigue matters. Obviously, the double unders factor in a little bit. For a majority of the athletes, it's probably not the sticking point in the workout. And then in the final 2-parter, you had to have the capacity to get upside down under fatigue. And as doing the wall walk complexes after all the handstand walking, after 50 deadlifts at it's a heavy weight for 50 reps. You have to be good. You have to be good at that upper body pressing gymnastics too at the wall walk complex just to get to the barbell. So every athlete I've talked to has said that these were difficult workouts, that they were that they felt like their fitness was tested. And you could take either side of the argument. You could say, I don't care how many workouts it is. If you don't squat, it's not a complete test. And I'm not going to disagree with you. But you can also say, if you have 4 workouts, something's going to be missing. You can't test a complete athlete in 4 events. And in this case, the squatting wasn't there. But look at these names and tell me that you don't think that these are fit athletes that can actually compete against the signed pros.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, everything you said is true, and I agree upon. And like again, the athletes said that, hey, it tested their fitness, and you know, um, I talked to quite a few of the women athletes, and they said the same thing. And I hadn't had much chance to talk to any of the men athlete, but I'm pretty sure looking at their scores and seeing who's at the top of the leaderboard, especially the top 10 that'll move on, the challenge the 20 signed athletes. I mean, it wasn't easy. They're making them earn it, and I look at this list of athletes, and it's a great mixture. But again, I'm not surprised. Ella Wilkinson, she was someone that I was really high on. She's very good at gymnastics and very good on machines. I mean, it's cool to see her name up there. Annika Greer. I mean, that
Hey,
she's
no squatting. Similarly
and
to Colton, who we'll talk about, Annika
yep,
wants to see squatting. No ring muscle ups, one of her
yep,
best movements, not there.
yep,
Rowing and shuttle runs in the same workout. What'd she finish
yep.
on that? Top 20. This is
Yep.
a stacked field. Fee actually told me that this is the most competitive online qualifier that she feels
Also,
like she's ever done.
yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, if anyone knows, it's Fee. I mean, that she's done enough of these, and she's a veteran, and this is coming off someone who just finished second in the Open worldwide. So she went from one basically online qualifier to another, and that says a lot for the
Dude,
program.
you know what was cool? Fee entered her scores really
First,
early.
yeah,
Like
yep,
she was 1-1-1-1 for a long time. And
yep,
as the scores came in throughout the day yesterday, a lot of names popped up and dropped down, popped up and
yep.
dropped down, and her scores held up
Stayed.
really, really well.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just really impressed by this field of athletes. Again, these are the athletes, and I said it. These athletes are gonna. There's gonna be one or two athletes that will be a contract. They will steal a pro card from one of the 20 signed athletes. And I'm not saying which one it is because obviously they have to do more than one just this event. I mean, there's still Mesa, and then there's still Copenhagen. But if you look at this on paper, the amount of experience and the newcomers that are up and coming. I mean, we mentioned Ella. Annika is still a newcomer. Lexi
Well,
Neely's a
she's still young.
yeah, and Lexi Neely is a games
Young,
athlete that's still young. Lydia Fish is kind of the
young.
same boat as Annika Greer, and then you go down to Trista Smith, and then I mean, those are the type of athletes that might end up with a pro card, and then you're
Oh,
surrounded with some
maybe, but
veterans.
you give dude, I think the most dangerous athlete throughout if she competes throughout the whole season, the most dangerous athlete of these 10 is actually Jamie Simmons,
Well, of
and
course,
she's sitting
100%.
10th.
100%. And 100%. I agree. Like Jamie Simmons, if she would have did the open workouts, I think she would have probably been top 5 in the open as well. And I've seen her. You've seen her in person. I've seen her in person. This is probably the best version of Jamie I've seen in a while, and that's saying a lot considering this is someone in 2019 that finished on the podium. This is someone before she got hurt in 2022. Was it 2020,
She was threatening for a top 10 that year.
Yeah, exactly. And last year she was healthy all year. Was aiming to compete on a team that was probably going to compete for a top 5, if not top 3 finish. But this is
And
amazing.
she's probably the highest money earner already this year through
Oh yeah.
competitive fitness globally.
I mean, yeah, just overall. She's done like 4 competitions within like 3 months and probably made over $100,000. So this is, but that's why you do stuff like this. That way she can fly to the U.S. and compete in Indianapolis, which I hope she does. And she's the type of person, she wouldn't be doing this if she didn't have an intent. She's very intentional about the things she does, and she's well coached. Obviously with Elliot, and she's got a good crew. So yeah, I mean, just top to bottom, I'm really impressed. And to have Jamie Simmons at 10, and we'll talk about the names after that, but that's so impressive. I mean,
Well, let's just keep in mind that all of this is unofficial, pending
yeah,
reviews. But if you're not watching, the current top 10 is Andrea Solberg, Ella Wilkinson, Annika Greer, Fee Sagafi, Lexi Neely, Lydia Fish, Linda Kishman, Emily Rethwell, Trista Smith, and Jamie Simmons. And there was one question about Emily Rethwell. Patrick, for anyone who doesn't know, will you remind us where we know her from?
she has been a staple of the CrossFit Invictus teams. She competed the last 2 years on teams. This past year, she was on a team with Hannah Black, who else was Phil and Roland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So primarily on the team side of things, awesome performance for her. I would say probably the standout name amongst the top 10 of least, like, most surprised or least expecting her to be
Mhm.
there.
Yeah, she's fit. I mean, she's very fit. She's a former, NCAA All-American runner. She's she's known as kind of an
Yes,
endurance athlete.
she did have
And
a different last name.
yeah,
Uh,
yep,
Prior to
Emily
getting married to Holden
is
Rethwell, it was
oh,
Emily
yeah,
Lugman.
Lugman. Yep, her sister Sarah was a part of those Invictus teams back in the early 2015, 2016, 2017. So and her, it's funny because Sarah and Emily do have ties to World Fitness Project. Sarah has been a big proponent of the Kauai Foundation, the mud run, or the run they do out in Hawaii every year. But no, Emily's definitely someone to keep on. She has an amazing engine. She's competed at NorCal Classic, I think, the last couple of years. Just finished right outside the podium. She's a beast. I'm not surprised. You know, if you aren't following her, you need to follow her. She's cool and has beautiful. Her and Holden, they have an amazing daughter, and she's an amazing mom, from what I hear.
Let's look at the next 10 on the list here. There's been tons
Oh,
of comments over there. We appreciate you guys. What?
yeah. Before we go, can we give Lexi Neely her flowers, please? Someone, 2 event wins. Um, obviously a 30, she does need do some work on machines. That's kind of one of her weaknesses, is her strength, just max strength in the machines. But, she's just, that's great. 2 first places, a sixth place.
She won half the
So,
events in the
yeah,
competition against a stacked field. I'm
yeah.
really glad that
And
you
how
didn't let me skip
crazy,
that by.
yeah, and how crazy that her and Andrea had the same time and same tiebreaker time.
I didn't
How
even
cool-
notice that. That's
Yeah.
insane.
That is crazy. And for someone like Lexi Neely to to keep up with someone like Andrea Silberg on those type of workouts, that shows you that Lexi Neely is one of those athletes that people need to pay attention to. She wasn't just one of these one and done game rookies. She has plenty of competition experience, and a lot of people will say that she kind of got in, kind of sneaked in at Syndicate Crown last year. No, she did everything she needed to
She
put
snuck
herself
in against some really good competition. So
that. But she didn't sneak in. She did everything she needed to do to get in that position to get that last spot. And here we are. So something like this, it's only going to help her confidence. So let's give Lexi her flowers. Congratulations. I look forward to see what she does against a very stacked field of 20 signed athletes that she's already competed against at the games and held her own. So yeah, moving on.
And
Let's start
quite
from
frankly, this next 10, I'll read the names 11 through
yeah,
20, and then we'll dive in a little bit.
yeah,
Like, if this was the top 10, or if I didn't tell you, you might think this was the top 10.
yeah,
These are Vor Thurman Moe out of Norway, Kyra Milligan, Sydney Mikulishin, Uda Lundkvam, also from Norway,
mhm,
Shelby Neal, Abigail Domit, Caitlin Sanders, Elena Karatala, Emily DeRoy, and Lauren Stallwood. That is a stacked group of 10 women that currently are not in the pro field.
yeah. And all of those athletes, besides Caitlin Sanders, have competed at the games either as an individual or a team in the last 2 years. So, some of them you may not recognize because they're on a team. I'm looking specifically at VAR and Uda, and but they are well established. Um, Man, it's just what a
You
field.
got, I mean, Shelby Neal, like, I think I had picked her of the people who'd qualified
Yeah,
second, and the only person I picked ahead of her was Matilda Garnis, and she didn't do the workouts
yeah,
apparently. And she's sitting here 15th before the reviews. Abigail Domit was a late sign up. Elena Karatala smashes online qualifiers, and there wasn't space for these women in the top 10.
yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, what a perform. I mean, and that's one of these things. Like, if there was squatting in one of the workouts, we probably would have seen Kyra or Shelby in that top 10. But you probably won't hear those athletes complain about. They're just like, those are the workouts. I did them. I didn't make it. But again, like you said, if any of those that's why you have this other 20. If any of these athletes for whatever reason can't make it to Indianapolis, VAR,
Well,
Kyra, they're in a spot right now where they might see themselves in that top 10. So, again, those athletes, the reason why they do that is they're basically preparing those athletes for getting that call up. So those
Let's.
athletes.
I want to address this. This popped up a couple times here. Tiber, do you think those in the challengers will fly from overseas? Lido, I wonder if these girls are going to bother with the challenger division or just focus on something else this season. So, in case you're not familiar with how the WFP structure is, the top 10 go into the pro field. The next 20 go into a separate division, but they also get invited to compete live in Indianapolis. It's called the challenger division. There's what we know is there's no prize purse in the challenger division, but there are points, and those points count towards potentially earning a pro card at the end of the season. What I was thinking about this week, because I was thinking about this question a lot, is what's it going to look like as the year carries on? I mean, you and I have talked to, and we've also, if you watch on social media, you'll see a lot of athletes talking about, and Adrian Conway addressed this too, how often can we realistically compete at this high level? And so right now I see some athletes that have chosen one or the other. They're doing the game season. They're not worried about WFP. They're doing WFP. They're not worried about the game season as their primary focus for the year. And most of them will supplement with some other stuff as they go, whether it's locally or they try to pursue one off-season competition or two or whatever. That's pretty normal. There's others that seem to have cast a wide net. Let me throw my name in the ring here, my name in the ring there. Kind of what Jamie said, see what happens, and then I'll make a decision that's best for me. What I think is going to happen is that because the qualifying process for the CrossFit Games is there's so many different ways to get there, and there's athletes who are not doing it who usually would occupy some of those spots, that even though there's 30 instead of 40 spots at the games, there will be athletes that make the CrossFit Games this year that probably through the online qualifier that might not have ever made it in a previous format. And some of those, maybe these names that we see on this leaderboard somewhere, and they might, if they do make it to the games, do the games, and then therefore not be interested in doing the qualifier for this event in July. There could also be athletes who are pursuing the games, but they don't make it, and some who maybe were expecting to because they usually do, but the format is maybe less. For some people, it's more easy to make it this year than in the past. And for others, it's going to be harder because there's fewer spots in their specific regions where they can compete. And if they don't make it, then they may sign up for the second qualifier, even though they didn't do this one. So what I would say to the athletes, first of all, if you end up 11, 12, 13, you could get those backfills that Patrick was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But secondarily, if you're in that group and you do decide to come here and you win or to place top 3, 4, 5 in the challenger division, those points could end up being pretty valuable if you're able to, if you also are willing to commit to going to Arizona, because there will be new blood in the qualifier and I think in the live competition in Arizona compared to Indianapolis. And if you're an athlete, even if it's challenger and then pro, I would say it's probably going to be difficult if you can't make at least the pro field in Arizona. But if you can do challenger here, do fairly well, and do the pro field there with the kind of turnover that I'm expecting, I think there is a possibility for one or two athletes from the challenger division to still make it to Copenhagen.
Yeah, I do. I think so, 100%. And something else that needs to be considered and kind of asking like whether the chance of some of these European athletes, it's kind of unknown because I do know some of these European athletes are also signed up to compete as individuals at French Throwdown, which is happening the same weekend as Indianapolis.
Yeah, that's exactly also true. And I mean, I can't keep track of exactly the number of qualifying spots, but there's athletes going to French Throwdown and Malaga, whatever it's called, that are competing but can't take those spots. There's also not that many spots. I think it's like 2. So there's athletes that will go there and have a great weekend and still not qualify for the games. So,
but in that case, what they could be doing is going there for a prize purse. Because think about it this way: if they go as a challenger, they're not. Right now, we don't know the challengers. I don't think the challengers has a prize purse.
Well, and that's that question that athletes always have to ask: am I more interested in the immediate paycheck or the potential future earnings?
Exactly. So it'll be some. I mean, because I'm looking at some of these names, and some of them have been confirmed, or they've said that they will compete at the French Throwdown, but yet they still did this. But I think if any of those athletes that might do French Throwdown, if they would have finished top 10, they probably would have done this over maybe French Throwdown. But again, and I think that's why I think Jamie brought it up. Just having the ability to make a choice,
keep your options open.
Keep the options open. And I think that's what, you have a lot of people that most of the hate that has come towards WFP. And again, I'm not sitting here trying to sell WFP on people. I'm not. That's not my job. I'm not getting paid to say that. What I'm saying is that, athletes want choices. Just having a game season for 9 months out of the year, that's not really a choice. They're providing options for athletes to do things, and you can't really hate on that. I mean, don't we all want choice and an option to do things? But end of the day, it's
Well, it's
fine.
interesting. Actually, this was another thing on Adrian's podcast. I'm
Yeah,
really promoting Adrian's podcast today.
it's a good podcast.
He
Watch.
talked about the pursuit of an athletic career, and that
Mhm.
he like many men, especially in North America, who like to play American football, but this could apply to European football, soccer, or to cricket in other parts of the world. They'll chase that dream as far as they can take it. And for
Yep.
him, that was the Arena League. He said he played 2 years in Arena League football. He wasn't good enough to make the NFL. It is totally natural and normal to have multiple competitive leagues as outlets for competition for people as they progress through their career. Right now, because we're so used to just seeing the one thing, it can be weird, and it can like trigger these normal human reactions of defensiveness, or I don't know, the unknown, so push it away from me type of thing. But if
Mhm.
you were alive in the 1960s, when the NFL was created, or 70s, whenever it was created, like there were two separate things, and then they became one. And then, in many sports, there's been these changes to the professional landscape, but all of them are always in the similar mindset of people want to compete. Let's provide them opportunities to compete. People want to be pros in the sport, mean earn money. Let's provide them opportunities to earn money. And, I would say that in terms of the growth of professional fitness or competitive fitness, the emergence of High Rocks, the emergence of functional fitness, IF3, the emergence of WFP, these are good things. These
They
are
are.
actually green flags that the sport can survive, that people want to watch it, want to do it, want to participate in it. So it's kind of understandable, but silly to me to
Mhm.
be somebody who's a proponent of spreading the message of health and fitness through competition, belittling any of those things.
Yeah. And I think a lot of those people are scared because it's going to kill the methodology. It's not. It's showing that the methodology can lead to other things. CrossFit isn't going to go away as a training methodology. It's not going to go away. These are all CrossFit athletes that train CrossFit. That the methodology. They're just choosing to compete in something that's other than CrossFit. There's nothing wrong with that. It helps grow it because if a High Rocks athlete, if Tia wins High Rocks, you don't think these other High Rocks athletes are going to try to do a hybrid thing of like, you know, the reason why Tia can win High Rocks is because she's going to be stronger than everybody else, and she just happens to be a better runner than all the CrossFitters. So she's combined
You know
the
what's
two.
so funny about that?
Yeah,
Remember,
what?
sometime in the last 12 months, somebody said, well, the winner of the CrossFit Games is the best runner who's strong enough.
Yeah, yeah,
Turns out that's also the best High Rocks.
exactly. And James, and who knows? James is in that same boat. I think James would do really well if he trained just for High Rocks. But um, but yeah, I mean, but what it is, it's going to bring more exposure to CrossFit as a methodology because you know the best runners aren't going to win High Rocks anymore. It's going to be the best overall combination of the two because Tia is proving that she isn't the best runner in High Rocks. She's the best runner in CrossFit, but she's not the best runner in High Rocks. But she is the best when it comes to everything else that High Rocks has to offer, whether it be burpee broad jumps or wall balls. She'll be the best unless you're Miriam von Rohr, who is just amazing on the wall balls. But anyways, uh,
Let's look at the last 10 women here. So
yeah,
21 through 20. And again, there's some ridiculously talented,
yep,
like fringe games qualifiers from the last couple of years. Really good online performers on this list, including kicking it off, Taylor Howe, who's a
yep,
savage in online competition, Norcha
yep,
Bleeker, who I picked to make it originally, Jen Weir, who I picked to make it originally, Jasmine Van Arnheim, Miley Wade, Janice Chevrolet, Ricky Lauderson, Sarah Mossany, Jamie Latimer, and Lisa Lyko. Great international representation, young to old, super talented, and these are currently the last 10 in. But as we talked about in the preview show, like there's beasts that are outside the top 30 right now.
yeah, yeah. But before we move on to top 30, it's like we talked to Jamie, who's kind of representing the Masters athletes. But what about Miley Wade? Here's a former teen athlete. I believe she just turned 17. I have to look. Let me confirm that. But she's competed at the games like the last 3 years. Yeah, just turned I believe 17 years old. I think she aged out, or this might be her last year of competing in the age group. But she's that's impressive for someone like her. I've seen a lot of great performances. Her open performance was really impressive as well. So what we're seeing is maybe this is the next batch of teenagers. I mean, we talked about Lucy McGonigal, we talked about Reese Littlewood, but Miley Wade, I think her name needs to be added in here just based on this performance.
Lisa Lyko, CJ, another name from the World Tour. Yeah, you would have seen her up at Turco Tumiopaiva, and then she's did some other competitions as well that we covered. Competed on a Finnish team down in Wadapalooza, so great to see her kind of on the bubble there. Any others that you wanted to really highlight before we just take a look at some of them that are just on the outside right now?
Yeah, I mean, if you get a chance, look at Jennifer Muir's story. She was having some
God.
issues. Yeah, did you see it? Her
Dude,
ankle,
and
how
to
big
have
that
to do
swelled
that
up, and
shuttle run workout like that?
yes, yes. So I mean, that explains her performances because she should have done better in a lot of these workouts, knowing the type of athlete she is. But
She didn't
unfortunately,
even know if she was going to do it the first couple of days of the qualifier.
yeah. So that was very impressive that she did that. So,
well, and she might be one of those athletes that checks that box I was just talking about. Maybe it's an underwhelming performance relative to expectations based on something that was not expected, but she can come to Indianapolis, have a top finish amongst the challengers, and keep herself relevant in the points race. If she does the July qualifier, comes to Mesa, gets into the pro field, and keep herself in contention to not just earn. I recently found this out, Patrick. If you're a non-signed athlete and you are amongst the top 10 points earners that gets an invite to Copenhagen, WFP is covering their travel expenses to get there for that competition.
100. Yep, I found that out too.
I did.
That's cool. I mean, you're guaranteed, like the top 30 are guaranteed a payout. I believe I forgot, like 2,500.
That thing that Jamie was just talking about, like the $3,000 that she usually thinks I need this money just to go to a competition.
Yeah.
But if you might have to spend that on the first one, you might have to spend on the second one. But look, if you're good enough to get the points to go to the third one, that's covered for you, and you're going to earn some money there. So with the potential of earning the pro card for next year, and we already know there's a long list of benefits that come with that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so look at the outside at top 30s. Again, you mentioned some name right out of 30. Right at 31 is a name that I'm familiar with. We're both familiar with. Chloe Carano. She's an athlete that reached out to me, asked me like what she should do. What she should do the game semifinals. I told him just, hey, I laid out the options, had her make her own decision on that. She decided to do this. She'll probably move into that challenge. I can't imagine all those athletes, those 20 those 20 athletes, all of them showing up to Indianapolis. So Chloe, someone like Jessica Androsic, who I believe is competing at the games on a team. They got a team with Sydney Smith. I think that's her team. Her Sydney Smith. They're going to be on that the new. She forgot the name of it. 11.
Is it 1124?
Yeah, 11. That team. So they're teammates. I can see both of them getting the invites to compete in the Challenger division and accepting them.
Before we move over to the men, as some of you guys had been talking about, we mentioned it with Matilda Garnes, but here are some names who signed up for the qualifier that did not enter scores. Matilda Garnes, Jessie Smith, Dana Paran, Lily Burkhead, Syria Meha, Gemma Hauk, Nina Vragovic, Sapphire Goddard, Kiara Miller, Haley Rolfe, Lindsay Lane were the notable ones that I pulled. There were plenty of others that didn't. This is also pretty normal in online qualifiers to have people sign up and not participate. But I was a little surprised Matilda didn't do it, and also Jessie Smith.
And you're not surprised about Lynn.
Lynn made a comment earlier about why she signed up for this, and this is to be supportive of the new initiative, which is really cool.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know why. I really don't. I really thought Matilda and Jessie, they, based on what they posted and stuff like that. I mean, I haven't had a chance to reach out to either one of those athletes about that. It really surprised me, especially since Matilda elected not to do the game season as well. So, didn't even sign up for the game season, so that means she can't even do team. So I don't know what her season looks like. I mean, maybe she might do kind of what Elisa Fuliano's doing and Karen Freyova might do, where they're just gonna just pick and choose events to go to and not really be dictated and be tied into a season. You know, that quite possibly could be it.
There was a question about Karen Freyova earlier from Mel, and we had mentioned this previously. No game season for her this year. No WFP season for her this year. My understanding is she did get invited but declined, and I think Patrick's right. I think she's just going to compete, probably a few times, mostly in Europe. I would expect maybe in the Middle East, and kind of do her thing like she's always done over there. And I think that given her proximity to the situation in terms of being really close with Lazar, that's understandable.
Yeah. So, yeah, kind of, it is what it is. I know Dana's like she's really geared up for the Grid League season. I mean, she's part of that Sharks team. Grid League looks like it. Obviously they expanded with 2 new teams. They're just not out in Florida anymore. She's really pumped up about that, and she did compete in the Open. She did make the top 10%, so maybe she's looking at the game season as well. And plus, it doesn't mean that these athletes aren't going to compete in Stop 2. I'm pretty sure I can see them. I can see Dana and Jesse maybe doing Stop 2, and some of these, and maybe Carolyn Prevost as well. It all depends. That's a cool thing about Stop 2. It's after semifinals, so a lot of these athletes probably be looking for a competition to do. And Mesa is kind of perfect for that.
Yeah, I mean, look, the barrier to entry to do the online qualifier is $25. If you place in the top 10, you're guaranteed to win $1,500 at that competition. So, obviously you have to maybe spend some money on travel, but you also have the potential to earn more money. So I think that, everyone will be reevaluating throughout the spring. And, when it comes to July, we'll have a whole new host of probably pretty competitive athletes throwing their name in the ring again. Let's look at the men.
All right. Woo, man. Right.
So basically, I had kind of made a little faux pas / joke at the top of my predictions, but I had thought that either Colton or Aniol was going to win this set of workouts. They finished second and third. They were in first and second for a long time. And all of a sudden yesterday, first of all, Nate Ackerman's name popped up at the bottom of this list as registered. And suddenly it jumped to the top of the list. Patrick, I think, was already asleep, but I immediately texted him and said, "Holy fuck, Nate."
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the fence about this. I was talking to Nate a little bit. For people who don't know, Nate grew up really close to the place that I grew up. And when I was coaching full time in the north suburbs of Chicago, he was still in high school, dominating fitness. And I've always thought that this kid had potential. The last real conversation I had with him was in person at Fittest of the Coast, but the last virtual conversation that we had was following semifinals last year. And I wanted to make a point, kind of like I did to Jamie, as you heard her say, sometimes just saying these things to the athletes go a long way. And you might not think that it does, but a lot of people think things and they don't say them. And a lot of athletes maybe feel like they're underappreciated in this regard. And Nate, I thought, had an amazing semifinal last year. He did not qualify for the games. We know how competitive that region is. But I thought he did great. And I wanted to tell him that I still think he's got a ton of potential. The thing about this kid is he's super strong, and he kind of has that mentality that reminds me of Haley Adams when she was young, which is honestly, it's competitive beyond how I can comprehend.
Yeah. I mean,
there, Patrick?
I remember when you first came onto the scene, you mentioned we're both working at Morning Chalk Up, and you're like, I think I know this kid. I think he works out near me, or he's from the Chicago area. And I thought, was it you that thought that his mom was a master's athlete or something like that? Or
she is.
I forgot what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. That's how you said you knew her, because his mom was compete at the games as a master's athlete. And I got to know him pretty well because of I'm trying to remember his name. Sorry, I'm just drawing a blank on some things here. But from God dang it,
Daniel Coots.
Yeah, that's how I know him, because they are almost inseparable. Now Daniel's a couple years older. I mean, Nate was, they both lived in Cookeville, trained out in that, there. But those two guys were inseparable. And but yeah, you're right. But he has so much experience at semifinals. He's made the semifinals twice as a teenager, and so the kid knows how to compete. And like you said, he had a very impressive performance at Syndicate last year, especially the last 2 days. The first day wasn't the best, but he's putting up. He's amazingly strong. I've just had that video. 500-pound back squat. What is 370-pound clean and is it a clean and jerk? I mean, I believe it's clean and
I don't know, but that's a power clean.
That's a
power clean.
Power clean. And then off the blocks, that's basically.
And he's one of the best spotters you're gonna find,
Yeah. And then he throws in these ninja skills. So
he's he's an incredible athlete. And I think this is always the question, is like, how long will the super talented stick with it? And he has like many have had their ups and downs with how much he wants to compete and how much he loves competing, and he's dabbled in some different stuff. But yeah, man, he's like, I don't think this is actually a mistake. I still think it's surprising that he would beat guys like Colton and Aniol, but I don't think that it's surprising that he's in the top 10.
No, I mean, I'm not. I won't say. I wouldn't be surprised if he was top 30 either. Like if he finished like 20 to 30, like I would expect him to be 20 to 30. But now that I see him in the top 10 and seeing the workouts, I mean, for him to beat Tudor, Magda, and Tola in 3A, I mean, that's saying a lot, because when we were on there, we're like, Tudor's going to win this. I said, this deadlifts and freaking handstand walk, Tudor's going to crush this. And what does Tudor do? He finishes second.
He crushed it.
Yeah, he did crush it, but Nate crushed it. Beating two guys who, Tola and Tudor, I thought, like, yeah, hands down, they're 1-2. Tudor's going to win this. I mean, just amazing. Just a great performance by him. I mean, hats off. All top 5, top 6 finishes for him. I believe he's the only athlete to do that in the men's field. Yeah, all top 10s. I don't think there's another athlete that had all top 10s.
Good point. Ironically fit. The scores are not finalized yet. There will be a review that's going on. Don't know the exact details about that yet, but these are unofficial results. And we still thought it'd be fun, since the leaderboard is so competitive, to highlight some of the athletes' performances, at least at this point. So if you're not watching, Nate Ackerman, Colton Mertens, Aniol Akai, top 3, Tola Maracanyo, Tanner Balaz, talk about him in a second. Daniel Camacho is what you will find. He was actually top 50 in the world in the Open this year. He took 6. Nick Matthew, Tudor Magda, another late entry, Colin Bossard, who signed up yesterday and got into the top 10, and Fabian Benito, who I had picked 3rd. A bunch of those guys had not registered up to that point. Tanner Balaz lives minutes from where this competition is going to be taking place, and I spoke with him, and he said I wasn't going to miss out on a chance to compete in Indy. Tanner has basically, we've probably never seen the best version of Tanner. He seems to always have some kind of little nagging injury going on. Guy's pretty talented. This is probably the best result I've seen from him yet. So we'll see if it sticks. But just like Jamie, he's like, hey, it's coming close to me. I'm going to throw my name in the ring, and he did extremely well.
Yeah, and I mean, those who don't know, Tanner's training partner is Alexis Raptis. Alexis Raptis actually moved to Indianapolis, and so it's no surprise to see Alexis Raptis, doing so well, recently, and Tanner doing so well, because they're kind of one-upping each other in this stuff. So that's very impressive. Colton, we'd be remiss not to talk about Colton. I mean, fresh off the freaking winning the Open, he does another online qualifier. Obviously, he has a chip on his shoulder, and like, hey, they didn't select me. They're not picking me. I'm going to go out there and win their freaking competition. He doesn't win the qualifier, but he made it look, he was very impressive in it, finishing second. And again, this is, and there are some pundits out there who say, hey, they're trying to program Colton out of it. You don't program someone like Colton out of something. He's too good. He's too good. You don't program him out. Yes, there wasn't any squatting, but the thing is, that's great for Colton that there's no squatting, because it shows him how good of an athlete that he's becoming. And also it helps him prove that he's fitter than he was last year. So, great job.
Yes.
Colton.
I mean, in terms of this, like the lack of the squatting stuff, similar to Annika, like to do that well in a test where it doesn't have one of your best things in it, maybe your best thing in it. Amazing. I would say the string of performances that he's put together from the 3 open workouts through these 4 qualifier workouts definitely has my attention. And I would
Yeah.
say in particular 25.3 and the first workout here, which on paper should not be, things that he, or maybe in the past would not be things that he would excel at. Granted that according to Adrian Conway, the burpees were the chance to make the difference on that first workout. Like, you still had to do the running, you still had to do the rowing, and just biomechanically, he's never going to accept it as an excuse, but it
I
would
know
be.
it's a little too early. Oh, sorry, go ahead. I know this is a little too early.
I don't know.
Seeing what we know now, Colton, you already did your top 20 power rankings for those, and I know you plan on doing some power rankings with the challengers in there. Where are you putting Colton? Just right after. I mean, where are you putting Colton? Because remember, you put Austin Hatfield at 2 based on his Wadapalooza performance and what you know. So where are you putting Colton, knowing what you know of Colton so far?
If you told me that Colton was definitely gonna be in the field for all 3 events, probably somewhere between 7 and 10.
Okay. Where would you put him? Just knowing where are you going to put him going in Indianapolis? Top 30. If you had to rank 30 athletes going into
And these ones were here right now, I mean,
Yeah.
6 events. Probably depends on if I knew the programming or not, because I do think that when it comes to live competition, there's some things that will be that should be more challenging for him. But I kind of hope that those events show up, because I'm genuinely curious of how much he's improved in the last 9 months.
Yeah.
10 to 15, maybe.
Really, man. And you still have Austin Hatfield at 2?
Dude, it's really hard. It's really, really hard. Like,
I know. Just saying.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. I was actually
I'm putting you on the spot right
no.
now. I was just like, I
No,
just
no,
want
no.
to
I
get
was playing. I don't mind talking about this stuff. I was playing disc golf yesterday, believe it or not, and I was thinking to myself that I don't even like my power rankings anymore. Like, there's so much information that we've learned in the last 3 weeks now about these athletes. So it would be fun to reassess and to look at it. I've been debating whether I should like try to wait for the workouts or just put out a ranking regardless of workouts. But yeah, man, I think I don't really know what the top end potential is for Colton anymore. He's kind of seems to have gone beyond what I even thought was possible.
Yeah, and that's where I kind of like, even knowing the programming, because we didn't know the programming for the Open, we didn't know the programming for here, and he crushed it. So in my mind, it's like, that dude, he's easily top 5 if I had to rank 30, going into Indianapolis, not knowing the programming, just based on his performance. And I know that's saying a lot because it's such a stacked men's field, but I mean, just playing around with it.
But yes, but is he going to beat Jeff, Dallin, James, Jason, Ricky, Roman, Jay Crouch, Austin?
Yeah. In a live competition. I get you. In a live competition. I know.
Man,
I know.
but you know what that means?
Hard. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I think that what we're about to see in Indianapolis is the most competitive semifinal or regional that's ever existed. 6 workouts, 3 days.
Yeah.
The margins for error are extremely small. The points are at a premium. I mean, it has the potential to be the best 6-event competition you've ever seen.
You know what? I love that you say that. Hopefully that gets me more excited about Indianapolis, and hopefully that gets other people excited, and because that's what they need to lean into. They need to lean into those superstars that are coming in and the people that are challenging them that are superstars themselves, like Colton Mertens and Yole as well. So
dude, look at this list. I mean, Tola, Anyol, Colton, I guess Nate, Tudor, Nick Matthew, Colin Bossard, all of those guys could win events against the signed athletes. Like, they have the skill sets to win 100%. A singular event potentially.
Yeah. And by the way, I will say, you told me to clip it, but you did have Tola ranked really low, and I'm like, nah, I'm looking at Tola top 5, and
that low. I mean, 15th. It's not like horrible.
15th, but no, I thought these workouts were great for Tola, and it's cool to see him. I think he's in such a really good headspace right now. We saw kind of the mix up he had with losing his shoe in a couple workouts. But I think he probably
He
wasn't
ended
very
up at the end of the day, it was good to see that he was having fun with that.
Oh gosh, yeah, yeah. And I mean, Tola's one of those athletes. He usually doesn't post much, but you're seeing him post a lot recently because I think that training environment up there, him being coached by Joachim with
He said
with
something super nice about Joachim, and just
oh,
kind of
yeah,
subtly in one of
yeah,
those things. He goes,
yeah.
and at Joachim handling like 100
When you
competitive
have
crazy athletes every day or something.
Yeah. Well, it's true. They have 800 people assigned to that affiliate in Ozo, and 100 of them are probably are high level elite athletes. Can you imagine? I mean, what they do for their qualifiers is what people do on Friday Night Lights in terms of heats, where you have like 8 heats, but they have 8 heats of freaking high level elite athletes. It's ridiculous. But
Yeah, the final heat, the normal affiliates or gym, like that's every heat.
yeah. That's every heat with them. That's every heat. I mean, and we saw that on the last page with the women with Oda, Var, Andrea, and that's not including we don't know if Matilda did any of the workouts or whatever, but it's just really cool. Really,
Let's look at the next 10 guys here. Pretty much exactly like the women's field, 11 through 20. Maybe not the bottom couple, but at least the first 6 are people that if you didn't know any better, you'd think I was reading off the top of the leaderboard. Chris Ibarra, who I said I thought had a chance to win this thing, 11th. Jorge Fernandez, Victor Lundahl, late sign up, and as soon as he signed up, he was another one I texted Patrick. I said, "Watch out for
yes,
this guy.
watch
This is
out
a
for
good
Victor.
series of workouts from him." Andrei Fedotov, I had him in the top 10 before all these guys signed up. Callum Clements, same thing. Jack Farlow. Those 6 guys. You can take them in and out with people in the top 10. You're not deteriorating the quality of the field in Indianapolis. After
No.
that is probably where there's some of the surprises come in. I actually know Luke from the World Tour, Luke Burns. Julius Kaiser is the least known to me of anyone in this top
Yeah, I have to do some
20.
research on.
Nikita Yundov, who we know well, and Nick Anapolsky, who we also know well, who signed up last minute. PCS, him and his wife both signed up. They were on a team last year at the Syndicate Crown. Rounds out that middle group of 20. Was there anyone in there that list you wanted to talk about before we look at 21 through 30?
I mean, a lot of people are going to ask about Farlow. I mean, for good or bad. He made that announcement. It's like, I'm not competing. I'm going to concentrate on the WFP season, and he doesn't have the greatest performance. But the thing is, you brought it up. It's like, hey, you do the Challenger, you win the Challenger, and then you go to Mesa, and you do the online qualifier, try to get into that. If you can win the Challenger and you crack into the top 10 for Mesa and be a challenger against the elites, you have a chance.
You still have a chance. And don't forget, at Rogue, there was someone who was 12th or 13th, and after the reviews, they bumped all the way into the top 5. So a lot can still change on this list. Decent performance for Jack. No real surprise to see that it started a little slow and got a lot better in the last 2. We know he has those kinds of ups and downs. He's been trying to narrow the gap, but let's see how the review process wakes up. Just like we just got exposed to WFP's programming for the first time with Will Morad. We still don't know what the review process looks like, how strict or not they're going to be, what kind of penalties are going to be enforced. You can read the rule book all you want, but until it happens, let's see. So who else?
Yeah, that's kind of the name that sticks out. But you said it's pretty impressive. Like, I have a feeling Chris might end up making it into the top 10. I mean, God, only 2 points. There was kind of a big distance between 10th and 11th on the women's side, and only 2 points separating 10th from 11th here. I have a feeling one of these athletes, because I definitely could see Colin. I also could see Colin winning, possibly getting a spot through the online semifinal. If he does if he makes it to the games through the online semifinal, he probably won't do French throwdown. And if he doesn't do the French throwdown, that means he'll probably come to Indianapolis.
That's the other thing that's going to be interesting is if the invites get sent out, how much time do athletes have to respond to that? And because that online semifinal is the weekend before this live competition, that's a nuance and a variable that I'll be interested to see how it plays out.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting because obviously, they don't want to wait last minute for an athlete not to show up. But that's why you have that top 20 that you invite in, or the Challenger Series. So if an athlete, for whatever reason, has to drop out last minute, you can move one up, and you can still survive. You can still have a good competition with your Challenger division, just with one or two less athletes.
Exactly
Um,
right. Let's
so
look at the
let's
last 10 guys here. So 21 through 30, again, some very recognizable names. Victor Helsinghoff, probably the best guy in Norway right now. Ty Jenkins, uh, still trying to transition from teenage to the top end, but man, he's still really good. Luis Cuellar, I had actually had him in the top 10 originally before all these other guys signed up. Matt Gilpin, recently podiumed at Fittest of the Coast out of Australia, but lives and trains at TTT. He finished
Yep,
behind Riley Good,
our
but
boy.
ahead of him here. Stephen Telfair, a guy from France, don't know too much about him. Jack Rosema, who was a late sign-up. Roland Goldbaum was a late sign-up. Carlos Ferreira was a late sign-up. All three of those guys are super good. And then Carlos
Mhm.
Casedo Suela, the last guy on the list currently in right here. He's a guy I actually know almost nothing about. And these guys are gatekeepers for, again, some pretty big names that are just lingering on the outside. And first one up there is Luke de Jong.
Yeah, Luke. And the thing is, you have to ask, would Luke have made that trip anyways?
Maybe his managers would support him on it. I don't know, or find him some deals to
Yeah.
get him across the ponds.
Well, I mean, even if they would, I don't know. That's a lot of traveling for an Aussie, because the thing with the Aussies that
Yeah,
are
but the
even
other side of that conversation is that he's been dealing with frustrations for so long, and he's not been able to do any competitions outside of
yeah,
Australia against the guys that he
yeah,
always competes against. I think if he made this, that he might seriously consider trying to do some kind of GoFundMe or fundraiser or find a sponsor to get him across, because, you know, to me, he's the type of athlete that, because his body's just a strange one and he's had these kind of injury problems, he may not get a ton of opportunities. He might, but he may not get a ton of opportunities to do something like this. And he's
sure.
still pretty young. It might be worth it for just the experience, competition wise and life wise.
Yeah, true, true, true. I mean, I did that. Another guy that just outside I was kind of surprised seeing is, or actually two of these guys, Benoit Boulanger and Drake Lewis.
And Tommaso Pieri right behind him. I mean, these
Yeah,
are extremely fit guys.
yeah, exactly. And then there's another name further down the list I was kind of surprised by, this name right here.
Max Krieg. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think I actually had picked him as like the last guy in to get 10th potentially.
yeah.
Again, there were 15 guys ahead of him at least that hadn't signed up at that point, but definitely would have expected him to be in the top 30. So, and there's
I
Kaique
think,
Cerveni. I had seen one comment about Brazil. Of course, it's from Lynn.
yeah,
Tough qualifier. That's what I'm saying. Like super, super. Benoit didn't make it. May no, but no. Drake and Kaique. Yeah, this is how it is. Like this is why having an increased pool of earning potential being available for the athletes is important, because there are this many athletes that are really, really good. And
yeah.
no matter
And
what
this
the
is another name.
qualifier is, there's going to be people that miss out that are good enough
Yeah.
to be there.
There's a couple other names here. I was like Jacob Pfaff, a
Late sign
staple.
up.
Yeah, signed up, staple of the semifinals. I mean, he's a full-time police officer out in DC. It's cool to see him kind of putting that his name back in there. Big fan of Jacob, obviously. Caden Hogan, the youngster there, he's still plugging away. That's good for him. Not the best finish, probably not what he wanted to finish, 91st on the last workout, 3B, especially coming off of 30th, one of his a good finish. Yeah, I mean,
Uh, just wanted to back up on this one. I didn't see this. Nikita Yundov also was on one of the teams last year, the underdogs team. But we had seen him and covered him competing in Europe before he came over to the US about 2 years ago. So, what does that say?
what?
Santa Monica. Oh no, what was the flag? It's I thought he was from Ukraine. He might have been living in Ukraine, but when the war
Belarus.
broke out there, he was sort of displaced. That might be Belarus, yeah.
It says
And he was
Belarus.
trying to figure out what to do and where to go, and he ended up in the US, and he's been here pretty much ever since, training with underdogs. So,
Yep, with Roth Duran.
Moritz is not one of the signed athletes. I think some people were asking about him. I don't think Moritz participated in this, so won't see him on the WFP here.
Well, we kind of brought it up with the women. Any other notable names that signed up that didn't enter a score for the men?
Yeah. Can you hide that comment? I don't know why I'm unable to click on it.
Oh.
Oh, there it goes. Names that signed up that did not enter scores: Bruno Marins, Enrique Morera, Ant Haynes, Enrico Zanoni, Alexander Pinsol, Max Lees, Dan Ty, Ala de la Guardia, and Heiko Curtis were the names that kind of jumped out to me. And Brian Spin, he entered one score.
Yeah.
And it was the first score, and 275 reps for Mr. Spin. And Roderick Lopez didn't enter any scores.
What damn, Roderick? So basically, he donated.
Hey, that's what he does.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of the recap of the. I mean, just right off the bat, I mean, we saw that we knew it was going to be a pretty stacked field for the qualifiers. Overall, it looked like, I mean, I don't know, any major surprises, anything that jumps out to you initially with men or women looking at the qualifiers, the result wise or the workouts?
My workouts, I think, were fine overall. And the results, I think, a lot as expected, especially as I saw some names pop up. I wasn't surprised to see them like immediately doing well. No, like I said in the start, I would say Nate beating Colton on this for Nate that was like not expecting that. I would say probably biggest surprise, and Jamie Latimer sneaking in the top 30. Those are the two that stood out most to me.
Yeah, those are
on the good side. On the good side.
Yeah, good side. Yeah. I have to agree. Those are definitely two. I mean, that's cool. I'm really excited about Indianapolis now. I want to see how the online judging, how these scores are finalized. Hopefully, I mean, it won't take too long. I think Will was on record saying that he didn't want it to be long. I didn't know if he gave like a time stamp on that, but hopefully we can get that finalized. Yeah. Before we go, I mean, again, talking about some WFP stuff. We brought up the reporting and how I thought it was a stacked team. But one thing that was also put out in the press release is the translation options.
Yeah, this was cool.
Yeah. So there'll be a free exclusive broadcast on the WFP website. It will not be on their YouTube channel. What I think one of the reasons why is like YouTube is restricted in some countries. And I think if they have it on their website, the server, if the server can handle it, they can probably get more views from like say, some Asian countries or maybe even Russia or something like that. But so it'll be free on the WFP website.
Plus, probably what's one of the biggest frustrations with streaming on YouTube?
Oh,
music.
Commercials and music. Yep. So they won't have to get strikes against them for copyright. So, but a free exclusive broadcast on the WFP website. And this is the cool thing. The subtitles and real-time translation available in the following languages: Spanish, French, Portuguese, German, Italian, Russian, Arabic, and South Korean. And of course, the broadcast itself will be in English. So you're looking at nine languages being represented.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, it's called World Fitness Project. They listed the weights in the metric system, which most of the world uses. They're providing translations through Instagram already in a few of these languages, more of them for the professional broadcast. You said it earlier in the conversation, like they seem to be listening. They seem to be responding to, many of the things that have been not just the complaints from the vocal majority in the United States, but actual, not even complaints, concerns, expressed preferences, whatever.
Constructive criticism.
I don't know actually about this.
Yeah, I don't
either
think
way,
there is. But maybe just show sport. I mean, I don't see many North Korean athletes competing in. I mean, I don't know. I didn't see a North Korean flag. We do know that.
But this is actually a serious thing. These are big markets. There's a huge Arab population of competitive fitnessers. A bunch of people actually signed up for this. They didn't qualify, but they did, and they've been not that interested in CrossFit because of political statements that CrossFit's made. Korea booming in this regard. Russia and the surrounding areas that speak Russian, tons of competitions all year round are taking place there, and obviously some of the biggest languages from South America and Europe. So this makes a ton of sense to me, and love to see it.
Yeah, I'm really cool. That's a really cool option. just not only having it subtitled, but also having a live translation too. That's really cool. It just shows how innovative, and again, like you're saying, they're kind of listening what's out there. And if you're going to call yourself, and that was one of my biggest criticisms, Brian. You'll attest to this. Like, how can it call World Fitness Project? When they're not representing, but now I'm seeing it. I was one of those guys who kind of was very critical, and now I'm seeing it kind of, just got to be patient, and which is rarely unlike.
But it's more, I want to say critical. It's more quite curious, skeptical.
Curious.
Okay, something seems a little strange about this. Let me ask some questions. Feel like I'm missing some information. Let me see if I can get the information. Then I can make a assessment.
Yeah. And then we talked about the broadcast structure really quick. Like I said, studio show, workout coverage, studio show, workout coverage, studio show. Challenger it's only for Challenger and Pro division on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that's cool that they're doing the Challenger division as well. So
yeah, I mean, those guys are in the mix in terms of the points for the season, so you got to incorporate them into the coverage. What's next? I don't know. Wait for these results to finalize. I don't think are the open results finalized?
I don't know. They used to put out. I don't know. I think they might have put out a post that said they're.
Are they reviewing videos at the? Are they reviewing videos at the 1% cut line?
I have no idea. I don't know. I have no idea.
No, I mean it's. We talked about it last week. It's a little bit of the qualifier season right now. In terms of competitions that are going on, there's not a ton. Crash Crescendo is coming up next week. I know that will be fun for any teams that are looking for a high level competition down in South Carolina. Athens Throwdown, one of the longest standing competitions in Europe, is happening the first week of April. Mayhem Classic is that week. There's a stacked lineup there with a super, super small number of spots available. But like Patrick said, there's also some good prize purse money, up to $15,000 if you're able to win it. So those will be the next kind of competitions coming up. And then, we'll be kind of waiting to see when this finalizes, probably talk about the full field. I'll do once we have the full fields of 30 and 20 for the pro and challengers respectively, we'll put out some predictions. Maybe we'll have some guests on in the run up to that. I think there's a couple of people I was in my mind that I would love to have on just in general. So maybe we'll have some guests on the show, and we'll wait to see what the workouts are for Indianapolis. It's going to be a crazy spring. There's a lot of events with the game season, and then you have this kind of big marquee event for WFP right in the middle of it. And like I said a few minutes ago, has the potential to be one of the coolest and best 6-event competitions we've ever seen. So,
and also 7 days till you sign up for Metcon Rush. So
you see Pool Boys comment on this?
No, what did he put?
Because it's for Metcon Rush, you can sign up for all the divisions, but if you want to be in the elite division, you have to basically apply, and then they'll and so he said, if I apply, am I going to get an April Fool's message? Because it's on there.
I'll apply anyways. That's great. And already they have some confirmed athletes. Freya, who won it last year, that's cool to see her. She's basically stepped away from competition and just been very. I've talked to her a couple times about it, and that's just really cool to see that. And then you have, looks like Kale. Is that Kale Lehman? Yeah. Kale.
Yeah. So I know also that people have been asking about our world tour, and it's just going to look different for us this year. The next events that I will actually be involved in broadcasting, streaming, commentating on that I know of are not till the summer. So the Turco Tumiopaiva in the end of June, and Metcon Rush that we're looking at now in July. So
yeah, Lynn, Metcon Rush. Yeah, I think it's the first time they'll have coverage, right? Yes. They wanted us last year. We just got double booked.
The last 2 years.
2 years. Yeah. So
I already had commitments. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited because I think I'll be able to join you there to do it. So, let's see. Oh, Tyler.
Is this actually Tyler? Oh, hey, Tyler.
Yeah, it is. Disappointed.
I'd be happy to talk to Rich. Rich is doing his thing. He's really busy. So you are not doing anything for WFP. We just had a whole show on WFP. Yeah. But nice to see you guys.
Yeah. So no, looking forward. I'm looking forward to getting back. I'm looking forward to heading to WFP. Unfortunately, I'm going to miss fucking Mayhem Classic. Excuse my language. I really wanted to go Mayhem Classic because that was one of the first competition I was able to cover. I know a lot of people can kind of give. I mean, there's been athletes pulling out left and right for various reasons, but it's still going to be a great competition. Yeah, if you haven't had a chance to go to Mayhem, why not go? This will probably be the reason why. And then yeah, we'll see from there. It's like season's kind of weird. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to joining you and seeing you again. It's been a minute. What, Miami since I saw you?
Wow, we have some old friends here. Hi, Heidi.
Yeah, that's cool. Nice.
Yeah, last time I saw you in person. So
Yeah, so we'll see each other soon. I mean, right now, I guess we're planning on seeing each other at WFP. Yes, B.Friendly Fitness has gotten approved for a media pass, so that's updates. Will you be at Indianapolis media? Yes, B.Friendly Fitness will be in Indianapolis as media. We got approved for media passes, so pretty excited about that. We'll have some content creators there as well, and yeah, so that's the whole point. So yes, we will be in Indianapolis. B.Friendly will be there. And Jeremy, you are always traveling. I am. I leave.
I think we might actually have someone at Mayhem as well, but
Yeah,
not
we will.
probably
Yeah,
not us.
yeah, yeah. We won't be there, unfortunately. I want to be there, but unfortunately, I won't be. You always traveling? Yes, I leave tomorrow for Mallorca. So
Oh,
pretty
you did
excited.
book that trip. Good.
I did, and then I already booked my trip for the UK for next weekend too. So going to UK. Probably gonna meet up with some friends there, hopefully, and go see my first Aston Villa game. So soccer match. So,
Oh, sweet.
uh,
Nice.
so
I
I'm
have
pretty
not been traveling, and it's been great. I've been sleeping well, eating well, training well.
yeah. So that's kind of what's next for the foreseeable future for us. So I think next week we're probably traveling. Yes, we saw you in Paris. Lynn says, yeah, Paris was a blast. I think next week, I think me and Kate plan on doing a show. We're probably going to preview Mayhem and get everyone caught up on some CrossFit news. There's some news out there. I don't know if you saw, like, for instance, like Emma Lawson being a brute athlete. We're going to talk about that. Some other things too. So next week I'm going to get with Kate. So me and Kate will probably do a show next week, and we'll let you know when that is. And then I don't know. It seems like every week we've almost kind of come to do a weekly CrossFit show and a weekly WFP show. So maybe hopefully next week there'll probably be more WFP news out. So maybe we'll do another show. If anything, keep you updated on that. So, but yeah, thank you. Ironically, keep smiling, friends. Of course. So I'm happy. I'm in a good place. Hopefully, you guys are all in good places, and hopefully, you're surrounded by people that are also in good places. And all I can say is just be friendly, our friends.